May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be free from harm. May all beings love life. May all beings awaken. Welcome to another Q Audio podcast. I'm DC Boobob, Q Audio and Q Archives, doing our bit to preserve the legacy of Shunryu Suzuki and those whose paths cross his, and anything else that comes to mind. I pray that you and yours are safe and comfortable, free from economic hardship, and able to get out and do whatever it is you want within the limitations of the universal precept of do as little harm as possible. So today we have a guest, Frank Simmons. And Frank is, well, I'm going to read you something he wrote right now. I met David Chadwick in high school in Fort Worth, Texas. We got to be good friends through our mutual best friend, Ward, after graduation. We shared a grand adventure driving from New York City to Mexico City to Acapulco and back to Texas. That trip changed my life. I opened up to a new way of being. David introduced me to Zen practice and Zen Center and Zen Mind, beginner's mind, and I've been a follower ever since. I brought my practice to San Miguel de Allende, Guanajuato, Mexico, when I moved here in 1996. I started sitting with a group that began in 1995 and eventually became the maintenance man, moving to a very comfortable cave-like house behind the meditation room, a converted garage. In 2014, fulfilling a long-term daydream of having a little center in Mexico, Mary Quagliata, who was a student of Suzuki Roshi, joined the meditation group shortly after I did and has been a staunch practitioner for all these years. We welcome all who want to sit in silence with others. Check us out at meditationsma.org. Frank Simmons. It's actually meditationsma.org. There's just nothing between. It's Meditation San Miguel de Allende, SMA, meditationsma.org. And they've got a Facebook page, too, now, that I will tell you about. How you get there to their Facebook page, it's got a long number. It's like, Facebook groups and then a long number. But you can just find it by writing Meditation Center San Miguel de Allende. And San Miguel, 2 words, SANMIGUEL DE, and then Allende, ALLENDE. So just write Meditation Center San Miguel de Allende, and it'll take you to their Facebook page, which is very nice. In what Frank wrote, I would like to say that our trip, that I already knew him quite well, when he came to New York and picked me up. God, yeah. And we drove from New York City to Mexico City. We stopped in Fort Worth briefly. And then to Acapulco, where I knew some people there. We were going to meet them. Stayed there a few months, and then came back to Fort Worth, and then I moved off to San Francisco. And then Frank said he got into Zen through me. Well, yeah, sort of. I mean, he came to visit me at the Zen Center, but he did it all on his own. I wasn't like teaching him or guiding him or anything. I was busy. And, I just saw him and saw that he was getting into it. And then he I don't know. I can't remember what we talk about that much, but he started a little group in Fort Worth too, and was sitting there with Dr. Ray Olson, who started the osteopathic hospital there, and went on to live in Santa Fe and became a priest with Joan Halifax. And gosh, I knew him because he was a guest at Taos Sahara, not because of Fort Worth. Anyway, so Frank and I, and I've sat with them there when I was in Fort Worth. But he got his thing in San Miguel at Allende going. I've never been there. Anyway, let's. So that's enough background there. I don't know. One thing I wanted to mention is Frank had a relationship with Joko Beck. I think it might have just been on the phone, but I don't know if we talk about that. I don't remember it, but that was important to him. Anyway, he's got so much more experience and everything than we get into. We just touch on it like with anybody. So, listen, let's just give Frank a call as soon as we've had our pause to meditate. Oh, let me say one other thing. The reason I say I don't remember it that well, I mean, that might be true if I had just talked to him and done it. But I'm so far ahead on these podcasts that now I'm putting them up like 2 or 3 months after I had the conversation with the person. And I like being way ahead. And I have this idea that I can get a whole bunch of them all queued to go up and then run off somewhere and where I'm off the grid, for, a few weeks or a month or something. Just to try to get some work done on my, on all this nonsense I do. So, all right. So when you hear the bell, if you have such a mind, hit pause and meditate or whatever for as long as you wish. And when you're through with the meditation or whatever, hit unpause. And we'll be here to hit the bell to end the meditation and give Frank Simmons a call.
Hello, David.
Hello, Frank. How you doing?
I am just doing fine. I am here with my new love in my life, Mary Eggers, and she's spending the night tonight, so she is in here listening to what we have to say.
That is great to hear. Are you
nice?
Are you there, Mary?
Are you there, Mary?
Yes.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, David. I've heard lots about you.
Yeah, the other night, David, I was telling her a little bit about my history, and so we got on YouTube, and we Googled David Chadwick so she could see who I was talking about.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you got a few videos out there.
Yeah, I do. I have a number of them on my personal. I have an artist page too.
An artist page?
Yeah, on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music, and Deezer. and I've published a lot of music albums, and it's got them.
Mm-hmm.
And
is there a link on Cuke?
I've sent you emails.
Yeah. I mean, I just
hit the bottom
I went
link.
to the podcast. I saw a whole lot of stuff on there. I was just curious if there was a link for the.
Yeah, just hit the bottom link. That goes to DC Music, which is diffuse. Okay. That's diffusermusic.com.
Okay.
Also, you can get there by writing baliyuga.com. And then when it opens up, right up there at the top, there's a link to Bali Yuga, and there's a link to artist pages and more, you know.
Okay.
But artist pages right up top, and then you can choose one of the ones I listed, and it has, I think there's 9 albums. They're now some of the old ones, but I did I did 5 here last year and the year before with local musicians. So thanks for giving me the opportunity to advertise that.
I was going to ask you, David, who is our audience? Do you have any idea?
No. Well, I don't know. People, I don't have a big audience because I don't promote it. And I don't ask people to share it or like it or any of that. I don't do that with anything. And you really have to if you want to expand out, because people will do it if you ask them. But I don't know. It's just sort of, I mean, every once in a while I do, like I'm doing now. But anyway, well, there's people who've been involved with the Zen Center or Zen, or, you know, are interested in Buddhism, or just think, you know, interested in, you know, the sort of subculture that we come out of. Not just Buddhists. I mean, a lot of people, I don't think of myself as a Buddhist, really. I just have studied Buddhism, you know.
I remember a number of years ago, gosh, it must have been 15 or 20 years ago, Mary Quagliata decided she was no longer a Buddhist. And, you know, and I thought about that, but no, you know, David, I guess I I do call myself a Buddhist, because the thing that really defines, you know, I take the Bodhisattva vows, and I kind of align myself with the Four Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path, and you know, I've read a lot about the theory and practice of Buddhism, and you know, talk to people about that, and so yeah, why not?
You run a meditation, all.
Yeah. Well, and people do ask when because I've been kind of serving as what I call the maintenance man for this meditation center for a number of years.
Where is this meditation center?
Well, it began in 1995 in a hotel right near the Parroquia.
In what part of the world?
Oh, this is in San Miguel de Allende, Guanajuato, Mexico.
Oh, how interesting. Please continue.
And you have been here, I think.
Yeah. I lived there for a month or so, back in 65.
Wow. That was before you and I came down here.
Yeah, I was with Jeff Bull. You remember him?
I really don't.
Yeah, he's the guy that turned me on to all that stuff, the evil life. And, really.
Well, we'll get back to that. I wanted to talk about that phase of our life together. So the meditation center began in 1995 in this nice room in this hotel right near the big church, and it was the only kind of center in town for people that did the yoga stuff and the other new agey kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But there was a group of us who were, and Mary Quagliata joined. I came in like in June of '96, and Mary came in like November of '96.
Is that right?
She and I are still here.
Wow.
But we moved from the church, from the hotel near the church, over to this little place right off of an alley. It's lovely. I mean, one of the prettiest little alleys in town. And the group rented it, and it has a little house and a garage that we converted into our meditation room. And we've been here for 20 years.
Wow.
And in 2014, Dogie and I moved over here because she could no longer do stairs, and we had lived in another place right near the Hardin for 16 years, and it had stairs. And David, I can't. I would sit up. Most of our living was done on the second floor.
Oh.
And watching her come up those stairs just broke my heart. So we moved over here, and it's just one level and small, and so we were here for about 3 years before she died. But it was really nice for her, and because not only was it better for her, easier for her to get around, I was here. I didn't have to run off twice a day to come over to the meditation center and leave her alone. So it just felt better in all regards.
Yeah.
And really, it was a good move.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we've been here, and as you may be aware, David, that in groups like this, there can be schisms. And we had a schism back in 2011. And
a schism in San Miguel.
In a Buddhist center, people with meditators.
In a Zen Buddhist center in San Miguel de Allende, Guanajuato, Mexico, you had a schism in the Sangha.
And a schism, and more than half of the people left because I kind of just, played the Frank card, and with Mary's help and a guy named Lewis, we just kind of took over. Anyway, so we lost a lot of our setters, but that's okay. I only wanted one thing.
Why did they leave? Schisms frequently happen because there's scandals.
Well, there was no scandal.
Good for you.
It was just a power play, and I could give you all the details, but doesn't matter. But
okay.
But the bottom line is that I didn't win anything. What I won was the responsibility of taking care of it, which was all I wanted to do, David, and it was that I really thought it was important, and I still do, that we had started something and offered something to our community, a place for people to come and sit together. And I didn't want to see that die, and I firmly believe that if I did not kind of take it over, that it would. And so that's why I did it. Anyway, so I've done it. And
why would it have died? Why would it have died?
Oh, because the people who wanted to wrest control from me were not that devoted. They were people who only spent half the year down here. It might have, but it just at the time it just didn't look like it would, and I didn't run anybody off. I just said, look, they wanted to change the rules about how we made decisions and that, so they got their panties in a wad and left. But anyway,
did they start another center there?
They tried, and it didn't last. Mainly because the people did not,
It sounds to me like it was too amorphous what they wanted to do.
Exactly. They just, anyway. So no regret. I never had any regrets of what I did, and we don't have a whole lot of people, but the people that come are appreciative, and and that feels real good, David. Really does.
Well, I want to point something out here. I'm not. Incidentally, I too take refuge every morning and sit every morning and believe all that stuff you said, like the Four Noble Truths, all that. I just wanted to say one thing. I sort of remember there were three really, really serious transgressions in the original Buddhism. One would be to kill your parents.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that, we can agree that's not a nice thing.
I don't think we'll get too much argument on that one.
Right. Another was to draw blood from a Buddha. And there's an old story about, Buddha's, he had he had a student who was just really, really just said he wasn't pure enough, like Judas, which sort of the same thing with Jesus, and was out to kill Buddha. I think it was his cousin or something, Devadatta. I think he sent a mad elephant after Buddha. And Buddha stopped it. Oh, I think he rolled a big boulder down on it, and it missed, but it hit a smaller rock, which maybe even hit a smaller rock, which went over and hit Buddha on a toe and drew a drop of blood.
Okay.
And David Dada, I think it might be David Dada, instantly went to the VG hell, which... Of course, in Buddhism isn't a permanent place. He's still destined to become a Buddha. But the third transgression after killing your parents and drawing blood from a Buddha is creating a schism in the Sangha. So I think it just depends on which side you're on. Right?
Exactly. No, well, here's the thing, David.
Well, you won, so it's the losers.
I get to write the history.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's right, man.
What I did was righteous.
Yeah.
It was I preserved the center.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're still here, and okay, just yesterday, I got a little note from some woman I see maybe once every 6 months or so. She's a yoga teacher, Mexican woman from Morelia. Mm-hmm. And whenever she comes in, she left me a little note, wrote on her business card, "Thank you, Frank, for this wonderful center." And I mean, David, it doesn't take much, but it just when I get some feedback like that, it really feels good.
I understand that completely. The same with me. I go, "Oh, really? Oh, thank you. That's nice to hear."
It is nice to hear.
I understand that completely. Well, I appreciate it. I'm very impressed. I think, wow, Frank is down there in San Miguel. And I know what Katrinka, you've never met Katrinka, have you?
No, I don't think so.
We've been together 18 years. 19.
Well, we haven't seen each other for quite a while, David.
Yeah. I always wanted you to come to Fort Worth when I was back, but you just didn't make it.
I think I did maybe once or twice, but
yeah, you have, but not in the last 20 years.
Well, no, actually we did. I mean, we did come. We did make regular trips up there, but then, let's say, in the last 10 years of Dogie's life, we did not. It was just not. It was too hard. Yeah, no, I understand. And we just didn't. And I realized that I went up to flew into DFW last December. No, December of 20, not 21. December of 20. I flew up there. Was it 21? Shit, I get remember. COVID. No, maybe it was. Anyway, to see my sisters. I went up flew up, and that was the first time I'd been in the United States for probably 10 years. And then I went back after meeting my Mary. I went back in May of last year, and to see where she lives in Virginia. She lives right outside of D.C. And so I got to see a little bit of that, and then we went up to a place or a retreat center that Mary met the woman who brought her to San Miguel, a place called Shalom Mountain. So I did a elders retreat there. That was very nice.
Huh.
Met some of her friends, and then we went up and drove up to visit one of Dogie's daughters up in Connecticut. That was nice.
Wow.
And we went down and visited my sister down in Gainesville, Georgia, where she's lived for the last 60 years or so. Anyway, I spent 3.5 weeks in the United States, and which was a lot, and then in about 3 weeks we're going to fly up to Dallas Fort Worth and attend the 100th birthday of Mary's Uncle Wyatt. So anyway, I would have been in Texas for the last, 3 years running. Maybe never again. Who knows?
Wow. Wait a minute. You just said you were in Texas for 3 years running?
No. I will have have visited Texas for 3 years in a row. 21, 22, and 23.
Wow, you went there during COVID. Wow.
Well, late COVID. I mean, it was.
21's not late COVID.
Well, I had to wear a mask to go on the plane, and I guess I had to wear a mask in May when I went on the plane.
Yeah. It might still have to.
No, I don't think so anymore.
Maybe not there. We were wearing masks yesterday because we visited a friend in the hospital in it wasn't ICU, it was high care unit.
Wow.
Yeah, she tried to kill herself, took an overdose. We're involved with a lot of people from the program.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I've been very impressed, AA, Al-Anon, stuff like that. Incidentally, I don't go to meetings, but I just passed 18 years without a drink.
Well, Ward, our mutual friend.
Yeah. May he rest in peace.
May he rest in peace. I wanted to talk to you about Ward Rusco, David, because I don't know whether after his death whether we talked about this, but I get tears from just thinking about it. But Ward Rusco was the best friend I ever had.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
You really
Oh,
think
yeah.
that?
Ward and I were like brothers. You kidding? We grew up together.
Just the way, the things he did for me that it's amazing, when I was when I had my issues down here, he and my father and you worked so hard to make sure everything worked out on that. And it was, just many other things, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
I just really,
Ward,
I wrote to Beth and one of the daughters, I can't remember which one, but about a year after his death, and I wrote him. I felt the need to write them a note and tell them how special a person he was.
Oh, that's wonderful. Hey, send it to me. I want to see it.
If I can find it, I will. Because he was just an example of what true friends are.
Yeah, that's true. Ward, and it was really good when AA was so transformative for him. It was really good.
It was.
It was wonderful. And he had what would you say? Not transvestite, he had a trans sponsor,
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah. And he loved her. Oh, yeah. That was in Southern California. anyway, it was. I mean, Ward was great before him, but that really cleared him up, and just he was just. I don't know what I'd say. He was just smooth sailing after that. It was really great. Yeah.
Well, he took me to the program, and it didn't take. You have to get there on your own, and I did.
You're not. Your excesses were by choice. And Ward and I developed habits that we had to quit. And so, if you're still drinking some, I bet you're not. You're not. I bet it's not unmanageable.
David, I really don't know. I mean, I know that there. When you go into the I was definitely an alcohol abuser, and
but we were
trouble with
we're
my
Texans.
wife.
We were raised to be extreme.
Yeah, and I mean, I was not. Moderation was not my thing.
Yeah, me either.
And it still isn't. But I qualified for the program, and so. And I don't go to meetings anymore. I think my meditation practice takes care of that.
Yeah.
And I just don't see any need to introduce alcohol in my life.
Well, the way you were talking, it sounded like the opposite. But all right,
really,
that's good to hear.
Didn't I ever tell you my story?
I don't know. I don't know what I've heard.
Well, okay. Now, see, you have attended AA meetings, I presume.
Oh yeah, many times in Al-Anon, but I've always gone as a guest.
And well, I joined. I mean, I jumped in once I decided that's what I needed to do, and moderation is not my thing. I jumped in and, went to some low-life group. These were not my people.
Where?
We're in East Fort Worth, of all places.
Uh-huh.
Off of East Lancaster. Rotten people. I mean, anyway, we were living over there at the time, and so I went a few times a day sometimes, and chaired meetings, and had a sponsor, and had sponsored people, and did the whole thing for 3 years.
Huh.
And then we moved to Las Vegas, and
right.
And I tried it out there, and it just didn't seem necessary.
Right. I understand.
And then when we came down here, I tried it again. But I think what helped me about the AA program was helping others, and there was nobody to help here. I'm just a bunch of old drunks. And I got so tired of telling my story over and over again, I just said, I don't need none of this.
Hey, well,
Dougie loved to go to open meetings where people would tell their stories.
Uh-huh.
Especially over there in East Fort Worth. Now we got some stories.
Oh yeah, I've heard stories.
Mine was boring.
Uh-huh.
I didn't lose any jobs. I didn't lose any, I didn't lose any wives or anything like that. I didn't kill anybody, thank the Lord. But I could have done all of those things. But thanks to meditation, and I was able to see the light and come and get to the program.
Right.
And Stan White. You remember Stan White?
Well, of course I do.
Well,
Stan White's a Zen Center person. He's, San Francisco. He's an old Suzuki student. Or he was.
Right, exactly. And he was in Santa Fe or Taos, I think.
He was in Taos.
Center in Hokoji. So I went to this meditation retreat at Hokoji. First time I'd ever done a 1 week session. And I went fucking nuts. I was sitting there. I was the only person. There was 6 or 7 of us doing that thing. Didn't have a teacher, Copacino was kind of was supposed to be the teacher, but he wasn't around.
Yeah, he founded it with Bob Watkins.
Yeah, he founded it, but he wasn't there. So I mean, I sat every period because I am moderation, that thing. So and I was sitting there, had great posture, still do. I was sitting there just looking perfect, looking at that wall. And I was thinking, I hope there's somebody big enough to keep me from killing everybody in here. I swear to God, David, that thought just kept coming up. And I was riding, and I was staying down at this hostel down at the kind of lower down on the mountain with this guy from Richard Fleming from Boulder, Colorado, I believe.
Yeah.
And I said, Richard, I'm having some issues. And so I need to talk to some shrink. But I want to talk to a shrink that knows about meditation, okay? So he said, well, I know somebody in Boulder. So he gave me the name of this guy in Boulder. So on my way back, I driving down there. Have you been to Taos? You know that kind of...
I've spent a lot of time in Taos. I was at Hokoji when it was Bob Watkins' home back in maybe even late 60s or early 70s. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was driving on those 2-lane roads, and every time I see a truck, I'd want to pull over in front of it. So I knew how to. As soon as I hit Albuquerque, I got me a 12-pack, and I was okay after that. But when I got back to Fort Worth, I called this dude up in Boulder, and he talked to me for 50 minutes. And towards the end of the conversation, he said, "You drink?" I said, "A little, And he suggested I go to AA, so I did.
Oh, that's very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, so meditation saved my life.
Yeah, well, that's great.
It is.
But what year was that you were there?
That was in 91.
91. Now, I remember you
July
being around
91.
the San Francisco Zen Center or something.
Let's see. I came out to San Francisco. Okay. I remember now. I started my daily practice in September of '86 when we were here in San Miguel. I decided it was time for me to sit every day. So I've been sitting every day since September of '86. And part of that, I wanted to do a retreat. And I remember I came out, and you were living in Santa Fe, I think.
No, I lived in Santa Fe in 92.
I remember that I came out to Santa Fe, and gosh, I can't remember what.
Oh, I remember seeing you in Santa Fe. That was 92. We were there July 92 to 93, July.
Okay, I think I was, so I was doing another retreat in there, and maybe I flew into Santa Fe, and you drove me up there and I know what, you got a ticket for speeding.
I did?
Yes, you did. I think you were driving me up to Hokoji.
Is that right?
Yes, I remember that.
I don't remember that.
I
don't remember that.
Well, anyway, so I went back 2 or 3 times after that first experience, but it was that first experience that got me to AA and helped me to quit drinking.
But I remember you around the San Francisco Zen Center some. You spent a little time.
I did that as well.
But that was earlier. That was earlier.
Oh, a lot earlier. Our history. We did. I came up to New York and got you to drive down to Mexico with me, and we stopped and got the.
Oh, is that how? I was wondering
experience.
how I got back from New York. I knew you and I went to Mexico. I forgot. You came all the way to New York City to pick me up and take me to Mexico. We drove from New York City to Mexico City.
Yep.
Pretty much straight.
That's it. Yep. Well, I think we may have stopped in Fort Worth on the way.
Yeah, we stopped in Fort Worth.
We did.
We might have stopped for a week there. Who knows? Yeah.
And I didn't see my parents.
No kidding.
No, I'd run away from home. I think. Anyway.
Well, wait. That was That might have been early 66.
That was 66.
Very
I dropped
early.
out of school,
Very
David.
early 66.
Right. I dropped out of school, and I decided not to go back for my, I guess it would have been my sixth semester at Arlington State, and left at 2:00 in the morning in my old Studebaker and drove up to New York. Stopped at your friends in Washington D.C., Pat Fincham. Is that right?
Right. Pat and I had just been hitchhiking
Yeah,
in
y'all
South
had been
America.
doing someplace.
Yeah.
I had met him at your house.
Yeah.
And I mean, here I am. I stopped and just knocked on his door, and they put me up. And I left the next day and came up to New York and parked on the street. And anyway, eventually found you, and we headed back down. You bought the Psychedelic Experience, which we read on the way down, and you introduced me to John Jones. Was it some guy named Jones down in Austin?
No, John Jackson.
Jackson, right.
Yeah,
and,
well, he and I were
very
close friends.
Yeah.
At Austin College, he was that's where he and Barry Woodson, I was very close with him, and Barry's still a friend. He's still in Fort Worth. But John and I dropped out of college together. There's a whole story on that. As a matter of fact, it's on Kook.com. It's the beginning. It's the first chapter of Freedom Songs. Tells about.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Because it was that trip for us down to Mexico, and into Mexico City, and your friends with the University of Americas, and then we went down to Acapulco, and I had a very transformative experience down there, and I think it's probably due to our having read the book and learned some stuff.
Well, that was our first LSD trip.
It was, and for me, it was transformative.
Yeah, darn right. And
I really think it set me on my path.
Yeah. Do you remember how it? I mean, I can tell you exactly where we took it and what happened.
I would love to hear that, David, because I don't really remember much. I remember us being in an apartment somewhere.
Yeah.
I remember us going down to the beach and being in the water and seeing stuff in the water.
Right.
I remember you driving and me yelling, "I love you" to the world.
Ha ha.
That's what I remember.
Right. We were staying in a very small apartment complex. There were like 5 apartments. It was 1 story. And there was a woman. Everybody else was from Missoula, Montana. And I had hooked up with Missoula people earlier when I lived in Mexico. It was a little hip hotbed in America. I further hung out with Missoula people in San Francisco later that year when I finally went there. And so we were in one of the apartments. Incidentally, we were staying for free. That one of the women, I think her name might have been, Rose.
I have no idea.
I have actually been to Missoula in maybe 15 years ago and saw Mike Cochran, who was a Missoula person. I don't think he was there though. He wasn't one of them. But and talked about all them. Anyway, she was paying for the whole thing, and she had this lover, Frankie, who was a Puerto Rican pimp, who I visited in Brooklyn at the same time when you were up there, and he was hustling in Brooklyn. Anyway, we took LSD and read the Psychedelic Experience like we were supposed to, and at a certain point, we decided, okay, let's go to the beach. And so I drove to the beach, and it really hadn't come on full yet, but it took about a century to get there. But I drove fine. And I can't believe I did, because really, it was not a normal experience. I don't know what was driving, but it wasn't a lot of traffic there, you know. That was Acapulco in 1966.
66.
That's the year they built
Yep.
the airport. That's
Yeah.
marijuana Acapulco Gold you could get from the police for $3 a kilo. I didn't. I was.
Oh, no.
And that's if you bought a bunch of it. But anyway, we drove down there and we parked, and then there was a policeman, and you were sort of scared of the policeman. I said, well,
Of course I was.
I said, well, don't worry. And I walked up to him, said hello, and bummed a cigarette off him and smoked a little and talked to him. And then we went to the beach, man, and we went into the water, and we stayed there 8 hours.
Did we really?
That's all we do. We didn't talk or
Wow.
anything. It was perfect waves. It wasn't big waves. It was just perfect. It would just, you'd go in and it'd sort of pull you out and it'd swim out a little or something. It didn't even have to swim, and it'd bring you back in sort of gently. So it was just perfect. It was sort of rolling in there, and I had much more transcendent LSD experiences where I really left phenomena as we know it. But that was a very, very high phenomenal trip. And wow. Anyway, yeah, we did that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Came back and I went down to Houston to get a job, and you went out to San Francisco, I guess.
Right. When we were driving back, I was wondering what car that was. It was your car. We were driving back.
I thought it was.
We went through this little town. I mean, a little nothing town, and there was a cop in the intersection. And he pulled over, and he wanted money. And so I just pretended I didn't speak Spanish or English. And he just wore him out, and we just went on. There was also a cop.
Well, I remember there was some guy with us. Some guy drove back with us.
Is that right?
And we stopped, when we got to the border, David.
That was Ronnie Brecker. That was Ronnie Brecker.
They strip searched us.
Yeah.
And you refused. And me and him, we said, go do whatever you needed to do because we didn't have nothing. But you refused to do it or something. It was kind of interesting.
Yeah, you both got full body cavity searches. Well, Ronnie had a beard down to his knees. And he did have pot, but he got rid of it before we crossed the border. I mean, because he was like flashing red light, pothead hippie.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And we were sort of a little bit long hair, a little scruffy or something. And so you both got full cavity searches. And the guy came to me and I said, come on, I wouldn't smuggle pot. I said I wouldn't smuggle anything. He went, oh, okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I remember that we got the search and you didn't.
That's right. Hey, I'll tell you one other thing that happened there. And this might be in the piece on Kook.com on my experiences in Mexico and South America. What's it called? Looking for a refrigerator repairman in Rio. Anyway, in Acapulco, I rolled through a stop sign, and then a cop told me to come over, and he wanted to give me he wanted me to give him some money. I said, oh, I don't have any money. So he said, if you don't give me money, we'll throw you in jail. I said, okay. So I drove him down to the jail, and I sat there, and and I said to him, hey, you want to meet a beautiful blonde? Where we were staying, he said, okay. And we drove back to near where we lived. He couldn't really see where it was. And Colleen was there. I don't know if you remember Colleen. She was from Missoula.
No.
She was a tall, beautiful blonde. And I introduced her to that cop and just walked off. He had his tongue hanging out.
Mexico.
Yeah. And we took Romalar. Awful.
Well, okay. Yeah. Well, I remember I was kind of remembering our history and your having led me down the garden path of drugs.
Right.
You started me out with Romalar. And then you know what you did? You went down to South America and you came back and brought me some Benzedrine.
I think it was Dexedrine. I got a little.
Well, something. It was some Drine, and I was taking that and I fell in love with speed.
Oh, I'm sorry, because
I
got off speed.
Well, I did too. I mean, but
you were shooting it, man. You were in Houston.
I loved it.
You know what you did. You're so extreme, like you said. Although you said every period because you weren't into moderation. In a meditation retreat, the moderate thing to do is to sit every period, really. The extreme thing would be then to sit all night. But you were in Houston and you were shooting speed. I never shot anything. And you told me that when you ran out of speed to shoot, you'd shoot water because you just like shooting.
I don't know. I made some of that shit up, I think.
No, I bet you did it once. I bet you did it. And I've heard of other people.
We might have done it once. And I think we shot alcohol. I mean,
you did. You shot one drop of alcohol and it about killed you.
It about killed us, yeah. It was crazy. Yeah. That was
you said it was like fire. You said it was like fire. Putting fire in your body.
Anyway, and then after you got me on the speed, and then you introduced me to the dope with that Jackson guy in Austin, and then you mean
pot?
Yeah, that's right. No, we didn't. I never did any hard drugs like opiates.
Austin had meantime, it had gone from 64. That Kappa Sig was this jock fraternity. It was the jock fraternity. To by 66, they were selling pot out of the Kappa Sig house in at University of Texas in Austin. I mean, it totally transformed. Pot turned so many people around. It was the biggest cultural change. And it's just so much a part of society now. It doesn't really seem to change much or anything,
No, but it was then. I mean, it was night and day.
Yeah,
for us,
it was. We used to turn people on. Mexico City. There were all these straight kids from America coming for a year abroad, and we'd take some of them to our apartment in Mexico City. Ronnie Brecker from Brooklyn, I think, New York City anyway, and Kenny and me and Pat stayed there some, Pat Fincham, after I met him. I met him in Acapulco. Anyway, we'd bring really straight kids, not a lot, but now and then, to our apartment and turn them on to pot. They'd ask. And I remember one girl, she just started crying and said, "This is so wonderful." She just saw right away, she saw how she was living this superficial, unrewarding life and she just completely rejected it on the spot. It was amazing. But anyway, Frank, so I went on to San Francisco after that. And I really need to get out of Mexico and do something different. And everybody was saying, "Hey, San Francisco, where it's happening." And so that was spring of '66. I went there, and you stayed in Fort Worth in Texas and stuff.
Yeah, I went down to Houston and led my life there. And that's where I did my hippie years. And you were at the Zen Center. And then I think I came out there a couple of times, and I know that I was out there, and while Suzuki Roshi was still alive, a couple of times. And
is that right? I forgot that. Yeah. Tell me what you remember from that.
I got to see him. Well, I remember. I think I remember there. I actually stayed at Page Street a couple of times with you, and and I went to some lectures, and I went. I remember I was sitting on the stairs and saw Suzuki Roshi walk by one day, and we exchanged eye contact. It was something I still remember. But I never really met him. But you told me one time, said, "Oh, Frank, it's a really big deal. So you can always say that you saw it, in person." And
Isn't that right? I
said
that.
Big deal. Yes, you did. Huh. And I came out I think in the early '70s as well, and stayed for long. Oh, I know. In '73, I came out and stayed for 6 months.
Yeah.
I lived over right around the corner there on Laguna, and with some other, Zennies, and sat pretty regularly and met some of the other. Well, and we spent. Oh, I want to tell you this. I remember one of the things I remember is you and me going out to Green Gulch.
I lived in Green Gulch in '73.
I stayed a few days in Green Gulch, maybe a night or two, and we went in. You took your guitar, and we went into some building and sang Cole Porter.
I had a Cole Porter songbook. I love to sing Cole Porter songs.
Well, I want to tell you, David, after Dogie died, and it must have been 2 or 3 years later, a woman came in the meditation center, and I fell in love. And so I thought I was listening to Ella Fitzgerald singing the Cole Porter songbook, and I heard "Easy to Love," and so I said, that's what I'm thinking about Joan. And so I learned how to sing "Easy to Love," and then I learned a whole bunch more. So I could, and I learned how to. I went to an accompanist and worked with her, and actually serenaded Joan with two Cole Porters and one another Ray Charles number, and said, and then she rejected me. But anyway, because of that, I started learning. I know 20 Cole Porter love songs by heart.
I know "Easy to Love" by heart.
Yeah, I know that one.
That's a great song. It is very short. It's very short.
Oh yeah, they're all pretty short. Yeah, I can run through the whole repertoire. I think and all 20 songs I can run through in about 30 minutes or so.
Wow, that is terrific. Yeah, I loved Cole Porter. "Easy Love" had an introduction. Those songs used to that I don't have memorized.
I know too well that I just wasting precious time and thinking such a thing could be that you could ever care for me. I know you hate to hear that I adore you, dear, but grant me just the same, I'm not entirely to blame, for you'd be. So there you go.
I can't sing it. You'd be so easy.
So easy to love.
There you
go. So
go.
easy to idolize all others above. Anyway.
So sweet to waken with. So nice to sit down to eggs and bacon with. We'd. Boy, it's hard. It's got quite a range. We'd be so grand at the game. So carefree together that it does seem a shame that you can't see your future with me. 'Cause you'd be so easy to love. Yeah, that's cool.
Anyway, one of the many ways I spend and entertain myself, and I do a lot of theater, and I actually I sit down at that in the Zendo, or whatever we're going to call it, the meditation hall. I go down there at 7:00 in the morning. And there's a guy across the street who does a Zoom thing, so I started sitting with him and then we do 2 more periods. So I did 3 periods Monday through Friday. and one on Saturday and none on Sunday. I mean, I sit by myself, but I don't do it in public. So, so I sit a bunch.
Good.
I don't know. Hell, I don't know, David. I sometimes wonder about that. I mean, I'm not really very good at it, but I do it, and I think that's enough.
Well, I'm sure you get a passing grade.
Yeah, well, I'll give myself a C, maybe a C. C my amount. Depends on the time of the day.
I sit every morning. I do walking. There's Vipassana retreats here. I've done. And I signed up for one this year. I think it might kill me, really. I just don't know what's going to happen. They're so hard.
One of the Goenka kind, the really serious.
No, I've never done Goenka, but it's easily as grueling. I mean, all it is an hour of walking and an hour of sitting all day long. Mm-hmm. I mean, the last one I did, wake up at 3:30 in the morning and I'd get sleep at 10. But it's like you said, the thing is, don't take breaks. Just keep doing it. I don't lie down. Because that makes it harder. Just keep doing it. And, wow.
So what do you get out of that, David?
Well, a gold star.
That's right. No, I just don't see that's my life is a session,
Yeah.
I don't need to do any more.
Well, I haven't done one in like 3-4 years.
Oh, okay.
And also, that would, if I do it, it'll be my 6th one here. Listen, I know people that have done 60 of those things. I have a friend here who's done 25 Goenkas. I've taken it easy, man.
Well, this guy that's done 20, or person that's done 25 Goenkas, well, can you tell?
He's stark raving mad.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, really. Yeah, he's my best friend who's a Westerner. He's the person he comes by and visits and we talk now and then. He's very interesting. Mm-hmm. He's got a very good heart, and he believes in QAnon stuff, and not all of it. I call him Q Light, which is interesting. I can always tell what's the latest hysterical wedge issue that Fox News are bringing up, because he'll come to me very concerned that the one he really got off on, children are being groomed to be homosexuals. And he'd go on the gay pride parades, and they're taking 5-year-olds. I said, I'd take my 5-year-old to a gay pride parade. I did. I used to. We had fun. He said people were tweaking their butts. I said, they were dancing. I said, and it was great. It was like going to a circus. He said, we have to protect children. I said, it's you I'd protect them from, man.
I think, that story you just told sounds very familiar. I just recently, in preparing for this chat, I listened to your interview with the woman who wrote the children's books.
Oh, yeah.
And
Laura Burgess.
I think you told her that story. Yeah, Laura Burgess. Yeah.
I shouldn't be repeating myself. Well,
David, we are entitled.
Man, I should stop saying anything on podcasts, because I don't know what I've said before.
Well, who cares? Who's listening anyway?
Yeah, that's right. It's it's just we like to make noise. That's what it gets.
I certainly know I do, and
yeah, and that was in a conversation I had recently, possibly for a podcast. Oh, I think it was. It's the one that went up last week. You want to hear a crazy podcast? Listen to last week's with
which one was that?
With Upasama. Ruvain Ben-Human. who's been in a Theravada monastery in Perth for 10 years. He wanted to see what 10 years of Vipassana will do. But no, Ruvain's always been really far out. Anyway, all right. So there you are at the San Francisco Zen Center. And I want to eke out anything I can get from you more on when you were there during the Shunryu Suzuki days. Any little slight?
Well, gosh. Well, in those days, I remember some of this, a little bit of the 73, but that was when I was living there a little bit, and that was, after. That my few visits during the Suzuki Roshi years were short, and I was all kind of stoned by the whole idea of being there, and my memories are very. I remember one time I think Susan had moved out there. When did
my
she move out
sister
there?
Susan. She
did
moved
she move out there
about 69, maybe.
Okay, so because I remember
70?
visiting her, and they were in Oakland, maybe. I'm not sure.
Oh, Susan didn't move to Oakland until 20 years ago. She was when she was first here. She wasn't with you. You're talking about when she was with her husband Paul.
Right.
That's
what
later. That's early 70s. They got married. I mean, she had a little apartment over in Pacific Heights first, and
that may have been 73 when I was out there in 73 that we went and visited her.
Right.
No, I think you've got all the memories I have of being at Zen Center in the Suzuki Roshi days. It was just taking instruction in the Dharma Hall or whatever they call that room right off the entrance.
Buddha Hall.
And I may have listened to a lecture or two, but these vague memories. I'm not even sure where we stayed.
You
and
remember?
I remember sitting downstairs.
All right, go on.
I remember the Zendo down in the basement, or what felt like the basement, and just being kind of overwhelmed by the whole experience. But it certainly took, and I knew somewhere down down deep that this is something I needed to do with my life, and I still am. I keep a copy of Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind by my chair in the Buddha or in the Zendo here, because people ask me about it. I show them a picture of that little guy, and I did that calligraphy of the Zen, the Beginner's Mind calligraphy that covered the TV. I think one of the pictures I showed you had me standing by it.
You sent me. That's a great picture with you, except your eyes are closed. I should put that. I'll make a little page for you on Cuke.com and put that on there.
Okay.
And look, I need to have something. I don't have anything written or any post or anything, but you need to write me, because all I'll have on it is a couple of pictures of you and a link to the podcast. Write something up.
Okay.
And if
I'll kind of take a look at some of the other bios that accompany these and kind of get an idea of what you want, and I'll write you something.
No, don't do that. Write what you want. Write anything you want.
No. Okay. Okay, I will.
There's some people get intimidated and they think they have to write everything, so nothing gets done. So if that's your problem, just write a little something and send it to me, and then I'll ask you a question and write some more. We can get.
Okay.
You can write as much as you want. You can write 1,000 pages. But
okay. Well,
because
I could actually.
Yeah, the internet has no size. Well, it's like the
Yes,
universe.
It's infinite.
Yeah.
It is, right. It's I like that concept. Yes,
Yeah.
it's all infinite. Now, I'll write you a little bit. So I mentioned to Mary and Mary Quagliata and Mary, my girlfriend, and others that I was doing this, and they said, "Oh, well, I want you to send me the link." So anyway, what should I do?
I'll send you when it goes up. I'll send you a link. It'll be on.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll send you 2 links. I'll send you one to the host is Podbean, to the host link, but also it goes up on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, a whole bunch of them.
Okay.
And there's links to some of them from the podcast page on Cuke.com, which you can easily get to by just going to Cuke.com, and there's a Cuke podcast link there on the home page. There's several of them. There's the drop down menu has Cuke podcast, or maybe just podcasts on it, and there's no drop down on it. You click on it, it just goes straight to the podcast page, and then you could see there are links to the Spotify and blah blah blah. But the Podbean one is the one I'll send you.
Okay.
And you sent some. Now all we did for your picture, I need a cover picture. So that's the more recent one, and all we're doing with that is taking your face out. Now I guess we could do the whole thing, but then they wouldn't be able to see you. You know what I mean? The whole thing with that.
Oh, you mean
your calligraphy of beginner's mind is giant. It's
yes,
like,
it is.
Wait, it's taller than you are.
Yes.
So, it's not a very good one for a headshot for you.
I sent you. I took a picture with my laptop when I was, but you didn't get that one.
Oh, maybe I'm.
You know what I'll do?
No,
my girlfriend is a photographer. She will take a picture of me, and we will send you that one.
Well, I'm sure I got the one you took with your laptop, but
okay.
I do everything really quick because I can't keep up with what I do, so I just sort of zip through everything, and I make a lot of mistakes.
David, it amazes me all that you do. I'm glad that you're staying busy, and I will write you a little piece to accompany this podcast, and I have enjoyed it very much.
Yeah, this is actually a very short one, and it is. If we some of them go, the longest one was. You remember my first wife, Diane, who's
I love Diane
Goldschlag. Well, she has a little Zen group up in Spokane, and she and I, are still in touch and everything. And Kelly lives up there. He's going to turn 50 this year. Wow.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. And the podcast I did with her is 4 hours long.
Wow.
Now,
y'all had a lot to talk about.
Well, that was ridiculous. I should have broken it up. Later, when things went on too long, I'd break them up. Or we'd have a second talk. But anyway, well, aside from being a fascinating conversation for a podcast, it's great to talk with you. You and I do the same thing that Ward and I did. I said to Ward, Ward, you're one of the closest people to me I've ever known in my life, and we never talk or anything. And he said, "That's all right, David. I always know how you are."
I think I was saying something like that to Mary. I said, David's one of those people that will always be in my life, and and will always be a very important part of it, whether we see each other or talk or not. We have history.
Yeah, I think about you a lot down there, and of course, Katrinka said, "Well, let's go visit him."
Frank,
I haven't been I haven't gone back to
Hey,
America since I left.
and David, I'm a lot closer to America than you are, and I have no desire to go back up there.
Yeah, it's funny the way we call it America, and you are actually in America, but you're in
I am
Mexico.
in America, yes, exactly. But I've always wondered about that. But I just really love my life here.
Yeah,
I mean, most of the people I know, like Mary, this woman I'm having this wonderful affair with, she likes to travel. I
yeah,
could give a shit. There's no place I want to go.
yeah. I'm sort of that way. I like not
Oh,
driving, and we could just
I
walk.
love not driving.
When we went to the hospital yesterday to visit this woman, they were
Hmm.
in high care,
High care, yeah.
high intensive. We walked there. It's
Yes.
a 20-minute walk. Uh,
Yes.
and on the way back, we stopped by this just charming little Thai restaurant and just got some spring rolls and Thai tea.
Yes.
And we walked. We can that we did. Well, we mainly eat at home, but the place before where it was a 30-minute walk, but you can walk along the beach to it. We did that. You can walk to a pharmacy. I walked to the post office. Of course, you
Right.
can't. Everything will
Sound,
change here. You can't trust in anything you like. Will be torn down and something awful will be put up. You never know.
well, we are preserved. I mean, San Miguel Centro has been, we have some sort of, international designation, and so we're protected, and it's just getting better.
Oh, that's great.
In the Centro, and I'll tell you a little story. Yesterday, yesterday I had to go up to the bank, so I walked through the Jardine, and when I was walking through the Jardine, some young Mexican man walked in front of me. He said, you have such a lovely smile, sir." And I said, "Well, thank you very much. It's my job." And I mean, but just having that kind of interaction. I mean, took a walk the other day, and I just ran into some friends that were sitting having coffee somewhere. I sat down and talked to them a little bit, and it's the kind of life that you just don't have when you're in a car all the time.
Well, or when you're in America, depending on where you are.
Or when you're in America.
Where,
Yeah, I mean, there are pockets, I'm sure. I mean, and when I took my trip up there, David, I didn't see anything but wealth. I mean, and that's fine. I mean, everybody was fine. I'm glad I got to see them all, but I just love the life here.
Yeah.
I have plenty. I feel like I'm doing something, not much, but I'm doing something of value, and
yeah,
having lots.
Yeah.
And community for me is the most important thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
How we can, be with others.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And I can do that here.
There was a study. I read. I open up to the science page on BBC and Guardian in the morning, and I just glance at stuff there and follow. I just look at headlines on news, and there was a science article about turns out that what they call not close friendships, but just passing
casual friendships,
casual or even just passing exchanges etc. Are very important for having a happy life. And that is, I walk down the street here, and somebody I never met says, "Where are you going?" Or, you can say hello to almost anybody here.
I know, and that's what happens here. I mean, you do say hi. I mean, and I coming home tonight from wherever we were. I mean, walking into the alleys, a couple of people we'd never seen before. But you just say hi.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's just so. I mean, they're just the oxytocin flows, just in those little contacts. And I tell you, David, it just really. I just am so grateful that I moved down here, retiring at the age of 50, and moved to San Miguel. I mean, I still pinch myself that I had the gall without having the wherewithal to do that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
no regrets.
Let me ask you something.
The universe.
Yeah. Do you pay for Medicare B?
I do. Because I'm close enough that if anything, if I really needed an operation or something like that, that I'd probably go up to Texas and have it done. I've got relatives and stuff like that, so I'd probably do that. But I mean, there are people down here that have canceled that because it's like $150 a month or something.
Well, it just went up to that. It was about 105. It went up to 168 or something, and I canceled it.
Whatever.
I figured I'd spent
$12,000.
And
in your situation, I can understand that.
I'd spent $12,000 on it here, and I could never use it. Never been back. And the medical care here is excellent, and it's cheap.
Yeah. Well, pretty much the same here. I read an article right after we moved down there in '96. Some guy had done some research about that, and he said, the best plan is pay as you go, because you can do that. You can afford it here most of the time. I think it may change, of course, but
yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at on that, and who knows what's going to happen? What happens going to happen to us, David?
Yeah.
But it's all okay.
Yeah, that's just okay. How I see it. Yeah. Yeah.
I read something recently about a quote from Krishnamurti, and said something about him saying, "Well, why are you always so upbeat?" And saying, "Well, I just, I really don't mind. I don't mind whatever happens." And I thought, that's it.
Yeah.
Don't mind.
Yeah.
Just don't mind.
Yeah.
It happens. Anyway, I got to go.
Yeah. Very good. Very good.
Call of nature. I love you, David.
Love you,
so much,
Frank. That was really great. I'd say hi to Mary Qualiata.
I'll do it. I'll sure do it.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. Well, thanks a lot, Frank. That was great. Really enjoyed talking with you. And maybe we'll make it there. There's some really good places in Mexico. And I just read there's only 555 Americans that have been kidnapped there, and they don't know where they are. You know what that number is here in Indonesia? I don't know, maybe none. But you never can tell what's going to happen no matter where you are. And of course, in Mexico, there's places to be that have a low kidnapping rate. Pardon me. Anyway, it was great talking to Frank, and I look forward to seeing how the Meditation Center of San Miguel de Allende, I look forward to see it prospering and spreading the Dharma far and wide in Mexico. This has been a Cuke Audio podcast. I'm DC Poobah of Cuke Audio and Cuke Archives, coming to you from sleepy Sanur with Doggy Bandita and dear lovely Katrinka. And we're wishing you and yours and all of us a grand awakening.